What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Vera Live. Tonight, we got a special guest joining us again, always bringing that alpha. He's got his coin now about to make a new all-time high, potentially go into price discovery. So when you see something like that, you got to be happy. And the man himself, Axis Alive. What's up, brother?
What's going on, Adam? Thanks for having me back. We did our our second ever stream, I think, a couple weeks ago, and it was refreshing. We got to talk a little more broadly about the crypto space and hash it out and leave it all out on the battlefield, so to speak. And I really enjoyed it, and the turnout was good. So I think you got some record viewership, maybe, if we're lucky.
Yeah,
and
definitely one of the favorites. People love when you're on here because I'm not a TA guy whatsoever. Like I'll try to, make some TA, but it's pretty much a laughing stock. I don't even know why anyone asked me. So here and actually can bring some knowledge and experience with it. I think people love it.
I appreciate it, man. And you always bring good insight on just, you're very well read up on what's going on in current events, and you're good at relaying that to people. And, what did Hexakins get for living inside of a box for 2.5 years is just a chart that always went down and a lack of growth. And so here we are. We're going to do it all over again. We're going to start from the bottom and build it back up. And you're part of that process. So I appreciate you for doing all the work you do. And, sometimes I know you probably feel like you're not reaching as many people as you want to reach, but just remember that it'll settle on the ears that it needs to hit, right? And once the move really starts to happen on the market, like eventually people will capitulate and they'll be like, okay, I have to look into this. And in the creative process of making my own token, I realized so much about what happens when something new comes into existence, and the relationship of what is fake and what is real value, and at what point does it become a tipping point where the market has to readjust their worldview, and with that, like the power that we all hold to like completely reshape and shift reality, and create value somewhere where there wasn't some before. And so, like, if there's anything I can do tonight, I'd just like to. Of course, I'll always do my TA for you guys on whatever coins you guys want to post in the chart or in the chat. But just kind of like relay my experience and this education that I've got from being more intimately involved in the liquidity providing side of things. Basically going back to January when the original HEX pump started at 1 cent in January, and then watching that go all the way up to 13 cents, and seeing that 700% move leading into the third test net for Pulsechain, and getting to watch that action and watch these huge hex whales battle it out on the chart on Uniswap v3, and then to watch the fork and the price action that happened after, and just to, now we're dealing with Uniswap v2, which is that classic pump proven technology, as I like to say. And then now, with Pulsechain, things are so cheap over here. We can actually actively create new and build new things and participate more actively. We're not all priced out like we are on Ethereum. And so I just kind of want to, any questions you have in that regard, just go through that, explain for anyone that wants to know. More of like a details and secret nuggets of being deep down in the dungeon of creation of coins on the blockchain. And yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, bro. No, I appreciate it. And it was hard. I think we're so shadow banned. I think that's the main thing, and it is what it is. It doesn't deter me at all. And like my approach of like onboarding people, the way it kind of worked out with having all these clients from my real estate career, where I could get them into crypto. A lot of them started dabbling in different coins here and there, so it forced me to look at the whole industry and start learning about all these different projects. And once you spend 4 years pretty much doing that, I mean, obviously you can't learn about everything, but certain things start to stick out, and you start to recognize certain patterns and partnerships and little things that that in the last cycle led me to like Hex, led me into Matic, under a penny, and into some of the best performing coins. I feel like it's the same thing this cycle again, and just having that knowledge of what's going on, what other communities are most excited about, it can only help. And if anyone here, if people don't want to put money into those coins, that's great. It's not my call to tell you what to do. I just want to bring awareness and knowledge and show people what else is out there. So, you don't just get caught off guard and say, oh, I wish I knew about that, because we're at a time now where if you are into the right cryptos, the right blue chips, especially outside of like the degen stuff that we're going to be probably messing around with, we're looking at like the next Microsofts, the next Dells, the next Intels, the biggest companies in the world. I think they're going to be some of these cryptos in the next 20, 30, 40 years. So if you can get into those and, even a couple $100 right now, imagine if you were able to do that at Microsoft way back in the day, and like looking at Bill Gates and probably working out of a garage. It's like, this is going to be the company that changes the world. Really? Like nobody was bullish as hell on them from day one. Like it was a struggle for Apple, for all these companies. So, don't listen to the FUD out there. Listen to people that actually do research. And I always say, I'm like, bring me the counter arguments to these things. And 99% of the time, it's just nonsense. And I'm starting to just ignore it. And, the more you learn, I think just the better off you're going to be in life in general.
Well, and I think a lot of the, especially, more in the, specifically in like the pulse chain space, that's very much of like a closed chamber where like there's not a lot of new, not a lot of room for new ideas and new thoughts. So that's what was so refreshing about seeing PDI and Atropa kind of pop up and watch that kind of movement happen organically. And like it was like kind of like the murder mystery of like, well, who's behind who's the dev behind all this, and who's funding it, and how does it work, and all those questions that were raised. And I think the cool thing here is that what I'm learning about the market is the market likes to be active. They like to interact, and they like to think about things that they don't understand. And so that mysterious element to crypto makes it so fun. Who can find the next 100x gem first, right? That part of that, and then what ends up being like a massive parabolic move on a chart, right? It's like some of the most successful things, they start out of nowhere. No one believes in it. No one thinks it's going to be successful, and then it's just a few guys with a vision at the core of it, just pushing harder and harder every day to make it happen and make it a reality. And like that's what we saw with Microsoft in the early days. That's what we saw with Apple. How many times did Steve Jobs fail or get fired, and just to come back punching harder? You look. There's the other side of this too, which is, where's the Amazon of blockchains? Where is it? Do we have it? Is it out there? Does it exist? Does it not exist? Amazon is a huge company, one of the biggest companies in the world, and it's a part of everybody's life in some degree or another, especially in the States. And where is that in crypto? But Bitcoin is very much a subset. Yeah, you can use it financially for it's best used as like a trading tool for huge funds that can move over $10 million of money to get in and out, because that's such a huge liquid market, right? So there's money there to be made on a 15 or 20% move on $100 million, right? So that's the use case, is that it's volatile enough for big money to have fun. But that's not for us, the everyday people, right? And so like, you see this kind of same relationship at that size of Bitcoin with like an Amazon or with like a Berkshire Hathaway. That's just this huge fund. I mean, like one share is like $250,000 or $500,000. It's like, well, that is a whale's game, right? So then that has us here looking for, what's the next best thing, right? The new startup, the new company, and like what is going to be the Amazon of tomorrow? Like that's what you do so well in your research, is like you're looking for huge breakthroughs in technology. Where does blockchain fit in the real world in a meaningful way, where we can bring new utility and make money by investing in it early, right? Because it's a sweet spot there, right? Because a lot of the best stuff for Pulsechain, for example, I've noticed had no sacrifice and has no coin and has no on-chain utility. Like all the best websites are run by people, and it costs money and it costs dev time and so like not all in all cases, but in a lot of cases, like the some of the best businesses and products being built around cryptocurrency is being built off the chain. And I think that's what I learned was like you got to adopt this hybrid model of who's going to create tokens that create value in the real world off chain, and then how is it going to be reflected back to the shareholder or the token holder. And that's kind of what I think we're seeing with the ICOSA Live token and how it's like an educational tool for mastering trading fundamentals, understanding liquidity, chain analysis, and just learning about crypto, from a new perspective and being able to know it's a fresh asset and you get to watch everything on chain unfold. That was like an experience you can't recreate, right? And so it's been amazing. And I'm with you. There's so many things out there that could do amazing things. So it's good to just take calculated risk, and that's finding those little gems. Like that's what you're trying to do every day.
Yeah, dude, and it's from like working with people that are more experienced than me, these guys that are older than me, that are retiring now, that have had 50 years of business experience, life experience, just being able to, understand how the economy works and just little things like that. So being able to pick these guys' brains and just hear what made them successful and what strategies worked and the things that turned out the best, their most profitable investments, their worst ones. What were they thinking at the time? And you come to find out it's like most of them, the best investments they made were the ones that they forgot about. It was nothing exciting, and they definitely never saw it coming. And the ones that they were the most excited on and about seem to be the most disappointing. And it's like a conundrum in crypto right now, because the stuff that I look up and research that has the best utility and the stuff that's building like infrastructure and stuff like that, nobody cares about it. Price is not reflecting the
The
amount of
value.
growth that's been done, and the amount of building that's happened in this bear market, like especially a lot of these gaming coins.
Yep.
It's so much has been done, and I
There's
think
so much opportunity in gaming for crypto. I've always wanted something. So before I knew, I'll give you an example of like such a simple thing, and it makes me so disappointed and just like angry that it doesn't exist yet. Is a way to go into a match. And I used to play professional Halo, so I was a first-person shooter. And I would go into a match. It would be so cool if it would match you up for like a series of 3 games or 5 games. And at the beginning of the game, at the beginning of the series, each team has to put up collateral. And at the end of the series, the escrow account would just pay out through cryptocurrency whichever team won, and it would just be this escrow distribution of funds. So you'd come into a series, put up your collateral, best of 3, best of 5. The higher the stakes, the higher the rewards. Maybe you could even implement other utilities into it, where like the dev makes money, like the game creator makes money through a taxation or reflection. You can add all these other cool, innovative technologies that we're seeing come out of crypto, but you can apply them to like real world use cases. And I think that's such an untapped market, the gaming sector.
yeah, I think so too. And I think when these I showed a clip of Mark Zuckerberg and Lex Friedman's interview that they did a couple weeks ago in the metaverse with those goggles on, and how just you could tell like Lex Friedman, he was just blown away. Like he looked like a little kid like in a candy store for the first time. I mean, just like giggling and just like he was mind blown at
Yeah.
how real it looked. And
Yeah, I actually thought it was like a picture. Like I saw
yeah,
a still of it. I thought that was him
yeah,
in
and
there,
that's how
and it wasn't.
that's like a $1,500 version, and they are releasing a $500 version to the public in a little bit, so it's getting cheaper. And the Apple ones that are going to come out next year, where you put them on and like your computer screen literally is like the size of a movie screen when you put them on, and you're gonna be able to touch everything in front of you, and it's gonna open up the door for the whole metaverse narrative again. games and tokenizing assets. Like imagine if you wanted to buy like a Rolex or a diamond online, and you put this headset on, and you click on it, and you can literally zoom in to the point where you're like staring at it, like where you're like an inch away from it. You can see all the flaws in it. If you're looking at a painting that's a expensive old painting, you can zoom in on it and see if there's any flaws, if people are covering it up, any trying to scam you. It's really interesting stuff, and it's all gonna, I think, conveniently happen around the Bitcoin halving, where a lot of these things that have been being developed for the last couple of years are going to launch right at the start of the new year.
It does feel like it's close, huh?
Yeah.
Like let's look at let's find BTC here. So here's the BTC fractal I had played out. Like this green line is literally just a repeat of 2020 DeFi summer right here. Does this not look the same?
Mm-hmm.
This action right here.
Yep.
So all you, it's this simple, guys. Let me get my brush out, and then we'll kind of figure out when we think that this is going to play out. So there's an impulse higher, a peak, head and shoulders reversal, down smack down to the lows, and then this level's respected. Wave 1, wave 2, a little mini wave, and then bam, rips. Then if you go to the modern time, you got the impulse wave, you got a peak on this wick, you got like a secondary shoulder here, and then a breakdown to the base. Peak 1, peak 2, and now like you don't even get this little here is so small, and then bam, we're already on the move. So we're in the midst of this move, and like if you play this out just pound for pound, like it has us hitting 40K before the end of the year.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's like, this is coming, guys. Like this, I mean, how the hell can the market still be bearish? Like I went bullish right here. Banks collapsing, and Bitcoin moves $10,000 in 7 days. I'm sorry, but what more of a sign do you need? Right?
Yep.
From 19K to 28K in 7 days, like this is
I think it's
man.
just the altcoins haven't been moving at all, and people are in a lot of altcoins, and they just been getting slaughtered.
Well, let's take a look at that. So like, let's go to like a weekly chart and zoom out a little bit here and just kind of see what we see. Well, here's with Bitcoin. So like it like broke the downtrend, and then it's just kind of been like in a bull flag. So looks like it's a falling wedge to me. So like something like this. This is actually more of like a descending. So like technically bearish, but because of the circumstances, it actually probably will break up. But yeah, this would be like closer to a falling wedge. But yeah, so this will probably break up and out. But like, then if you look at the total too, a little bit more cleaner. But yeah, it's underperforming. And then total 3, that's with ETH. And then you take ETH away, and it's like freaking altcoins broke out, but they just freaking grinded along that grind line. So they haven't.
And that's max pain. It's just chopping sideways.
It's just like so painful. Just like, where's my gains, bro? Bitcoin. This is where Bitcoin dominance takes a lead, man. And that's what this chart's showing you is like Bitcoin's been going up against the altcoin market all year. Right now it's up 30.5% in 392 days. Yeah. Well, this is what could happen though, is it could, this Bitcoin could really start to take off and then crash, bam. This is where you get it. And this is what you're saying about next spring, right? Your next spring. Because here's your resistance, sometime between March, April, May. And this is where altcoins come in.
Yep.
Yeah, Bitcoin kind of falls, but altcoins get a rip right before before everything crashes.
Yep. That'd be like the first altcoin rip in like 3 years at that point.
Put up the
2.5.
Total 3. I kind of want to compare them side by side for a second. So we put the orange line is altcoins, excluding Bitcoin and excluding Ethereum. And if I put it on a line for line, the white line is Bitcoin, and the orange line is altcoins. And let's go back to the bottom here, probably. So this is down here in the corner is June of 18. You know, this was 2018 where shit got real bad.
Yeah.
But let me make sure they're both on log here so everything lines up. Okay, I think I'm happy with it. So orange line is altcoins, white line is Bitcoin. So look at altcoins had like a crazy run in 2020. Like they never even came back down and really like went back to 2018 levels in terms of percent from this time period here, which is interesting, right? So they got beat up
Sure
real bad.
feels like it did.
Yeah, they got beat up real bad, but think about HEX too. Like HEX is still up from the all-time low, like thousands of percent. So just as an example, now they didn't all do that, of course, but look at here in this time period where altcoins have just been declining month after month after month. Bitcoin's just been gaining on them. Yep. And altcoin guys are like, what the fuck? Right? Yeah. And this is usually what the beginning of the cycle looks like, right? Big Daddy Bitcoin takes the lead.
It's exactly when people are like, all right, I'm just going to go into Bitcoin because altcoins aren't. And that's, you make that move and then altcoins rip. So many of my friends made that mistake last cycle.
Yeah. You always, isn't that funny how that works? They get you off sides a lot of times because if you're waiting for the market to signal to you what to do, you're not looking at the right signals. Like a lot of the signals comes from the work that you're doing every day, where you're looking at the news, you're looking at the developments in the space, you're reading the sentiment of the people on Twitter and on online, and then that's going to give you more signal than you're ever going to get from just simply reading the chart, unless you're super adept and you can look at these two lines right here and you can feel and see sentiment in there. And there are people that are that good that they can just look at this chart right here and just know generally what's going to happen. It's pretty crazy, man. There's some really talented folks out there. The 10% that take everyone's money.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's, I'm thinking, if we go back to what our original chart here, whoops, let's see, what are we looking at for a time frame? Well, Bitcoin is not looking too bad. This little yellow line I have on here, that's the, let's go to the daily chart. That's the 21 daily bull market support band. So with any luck, this will start to hold. The Bitcoin dominance will rise, ushering in that move to 40K.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say we get it, like it moves up to 40K, and then it sells back to 36K, and that's when altcoins take a second leg, for example, right? So altcoins have a little moment here maybe, but ultimately Bitcoin needs to potentially try to test up here in like the 65 to 70% dominance range. And then you'll get that big breakdown where altcoins are just going to go bananas into next spring. And this is what I'm looking for the RH ecosystem to really like blow up in particular. But I'm sure a lot of the coins you're watching will do the same. I know IMX, Render did well this first part of this year. And I don't know, some other ones that would come to mind. Hedera, I don't know if Hedera did all right.
It did all right. It's more the AI coins.
AI
XDC did phenomenal. It has the last year. A couple coins have broken the trend of the market, but I mean like Casper and stuff. But if anyone
said,
"Oh yeah, I saw Casper come," it's like, yeah, okay.
What's that? KASPA?
Yeah, it's a Chinese proof of work coin, and they were doing real well, and then they just decided to delete some of their history. 3 months of it. Yeah.
Oh, so that's weird. So no, okay. Yeah. So no, that's that's FUD. So resistance. This one's probably done for a while.
Well, I heard that it's not looking good, and it's like a fall, a company that's meant to fall.
Well, in the same time, you got this Render token that did a tremendous run up.
Yep.
Here, that's also a proof of work type. Like all the guys with all the GPUs from the Ethereum days, they had to point their hash power somewhere. So they pointed it at that coin probably you just mentioned. Now this one too. And this one did 750% over the last 300 days. So you know, while everyone's been screaming bear market, there's been coins that have been performing. You know, you can't get 750% in stocks very often, right? I mean, you have to find the right company at the right time. I guess that's true of crypto too, but there just seems to be that there's been a lot of these. IMX is another one.
Yeah.
That
Yep.
just
I
performed
like
really well.
IMX, bro. I knew about it last cycle, and
300%.
yeah.
You know, Phantom did really good until that bridge hack happened.
Yep.
I don't know if I got a good full history chart. Let's see. Okay, yeah, look at this, dude. Phantom, bro. What a freaking chart.
Bro, XDC is looking real good too. One of my buddies, he is big in XDC. He's got a project he's working on over there, and he was at the proper party in New York last week. And you know, he just tells me this stuff, you know, that he's excited about and the stuff going on XDC, and they're tackling a trade finance industry that's $1 trillion industry.
That sounds promising. I'd have to ask more questions, but just from a technical level, this just looks a lot like the same type of price action. So, I mean, you could throw like just based on the visual bars pattern of it, you could throw a fractal on here perhaps and see kind of what that would look like. So it looks like it's going to take a little longer this time, and because the market probably grew. But look at that. Like you could be coming to a point where, you know, in the not too distant future, they'll get an impulse, maybe any kind of good news, or like maybe a partnership or something, and you're waiting for this move. And I mean, you could be seeing 200% on that one, even if it plays out similarly. Of course, there's other instances in this very chart of the same thing, right? Where to the other direction too, like after this blow off top. Well, these are kind of more straight down, whereas like this has got that kind of curve to it. I don't know if you could see the curve in it, but
yeah,
this has the curve in it too. And I look for like little subtle things in the patterns like that. Here you start to get the curve, and you try to get a recovery. It turned into a bear flag. And by the way, this was around May of last year when Bitcoin broke down. So Bitcoin weakness is what dragged that down. That's another good point probably for people is like, you can't take the technicals of one chart for face value. You have to, in the back of your mind, have the macro picture too, right? Because if you saw this curve happening, just the same way you saw this curve happening, you might expect this kind of a move. But if you didn't know that Bitcoin wasn't looking so hot at this point, and you didn't identify this as a bear flag, when Bitcoin would have surprised you and it would have broke down, you would have been left holding the bag, and you could have ended up being down, you know, 60 to 50% for like 400 days, and you've just been bag holding. And I mean, no offense to the Hexicans, but a lot of us, we're in that position now.
Yeah. Well, it sucks. The stake for the 5555 stake, it just can't. It was so tempting because DeFi was roaring. It just came out. People were getting wrecked all over the place, and it was saving yourself from yourself. And now it's like, oh man, so that 555 stake, I got to go through 4 cycles of being suicidal, watching all my gains evaporate and not being able to touch them.
But honestly, you probably want to punch me in the face for saying this now, but in 15 years, you're not going to be saying that, because
no,
sometime between now and then, the price is going to get to the point where you'll be able to end the stake early, maybe like on year 7 or 8, and you might lose some of your interest, but the dollar value is going to be so good that you will have been rewarded just for holding on to the stake for that long. Yeah, you might not have been able to sell the top up here and buy back the bottom, but not many people did. Like you're talking like a handful, like literally maybe less than 50 people even got to really sell above 40 cents. And then, you know, waited this whole time to buy back with the whole bag down here. That just doesn't happen because, you know, you see this move and you're like, damn, that's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
You already went down freaking 90% or 85, 90%. Like that's a pretty good buy, right? Here again. And then you watch this, like every single Hexican in some way or another got beat up on this somehow.
Yes.
So don't take it personally. We're all in the shitter, but the one thing we do have is the stakes are still working for us.
Yeah. And having that's the importance too of having a ladder and not just doing 5555s only and having nothing in between. So once I realized that, I created my ladder and I balanced it out. So it's not gonna, it's gonna be great. And you learn from your mistakes, you fix them, and then you move on and you don't make them again moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'm still an advocate for stake and hex. Like, I think, you know, if you're getting exposure to crypto for the first time, a good core piece of that would be setting up that stake and ladder, even if it's just like $2,000 or $3,000. Maybe make 1 or 2 stakes and try to time them up with what you think is going to be the market cycle top. Problem is, most people coming in have no context or any idea what to do. And so at staking hex right now is like an expert level thing if you're trying to time it.
Yep.
I would say. And so, you know, look for guidance. You know, that's why I run a website where you can get consultation services, and they're expensive, but you know, if it's the difference between you making 6 figures from a few $1,000s in a few years, then maybe it's worth you at least having the discussion with somebody.
Yeah,
I'm sure Adam also, you offer your own services for people, or you can just give them all kinds of information.
Yeah.
And I know that the challenging part for us is we have all this information, and we have a hard time not overwhelming clients sometimes because there's so much to look at, which is why, like, in my own business, I like to like simplify it and just keep things simple. Like, let's just keep it really simple. Keep it to like one or two ideas, maybe a third idea, and then you pick one to start, and then you see how that goes for a little while, and then you save up a little more cash. Once you have dry powder to sit on, then maybe you do play number 2, right? And then just, you know, that part is getting in and getting exposure is important. Like, if you're here now listening and you're new, like, this is when the big gains are made. Ask anybody who's been in crypto for 2 or 3 years. Like, when everyone else is sick of it, walked away, or missed out on 700% moves on render because they didn't even know it existed, it's because it's a full-time job to be doing that crypto like that. But you don't have to be doing that. You just have to know who to talk to. So I do this stuff for free on YouTube all the time, just to try to give people context. If you go listen to a couple 100 hours of content from Hex streamers, if you pick the right ones, you're going to be way ahead of the curve, because the RH descendants, so to speak, are some of the smartest people in cryptocurrency, and they come from all walks of life.
I agree. It's amazing, bro, and it really is like, it's almost, when you're new, it's like, is this too good to be true? These people, like, is there something going on? You realize it's not. Like, this is the only. I'm in a lot of communities out there, and they're all very similar. With the way people interact, everyone's goals, everyone's here for the same reason, but the intelligence level in the Hex community and the people that are willing to just do something for you and help you out to get you where you're going. You know, Eco Builder, shout out to him. Lindsay is doing these bath bombs she's making, and she's making Hex ones, and he did a 3D printed Hex mold so she can use that and save a ton of time and just stamp them out and come out in hexagons versus being in a ball trying to like write the logos on there. So just like, that was amazing of him to take the time and do that. And it's the little things like that, you know, you start to see, it's like there's something special in this community, and once you find those people, you learn so much, you make new friends, and it's the start of you know, I think a 15 year
journey. Only a portion of them are the psychotic ones. It's like being locked in a train with a bunch of delinquents, but they're not all delinquents. I just making a joke, but but yeah, we're all locked in the same train, and you're gonna make some good friends along the way. Like, you go to make your way out to an event, you know, you might spend a little money getting there, but you know, that way you don't have to pay for anything. You're just gonna meet people that are gonna help you along and teach you things just because of the goodness of their heart.
Yeah. It's great, bro.
Denise was asking about the Axis chart. She wants to
bro.
see
Let's go. Let's hear. Yeah, this is insane.
So this coin started as like just a simple project. It was like a side project. This is the chart on log. This is the chart on linear. You can see that all of this price action from like the first month. By the way, this coin started on July 27th of this year, so it's only like two months and like 11 days old. all this action down here is price action below $600. So currently the price is around 9,500 roughly. And this is coming in close to the all-time high right here. And I'll explain what happened here in a second. That was a whole other story. That was just bananas. So in the early days, there wasn't any holders. It was just, I created this coin, right? And I put some LP up on the coin versus Pulse. So this is the Axis versus Pulse pair. So Pulse is like Ethereum, right? You need Pulse to transact. So I figured, why not pair Axis to the underlying native asset? Because that's the metric by which you judge whether or not a coin is successful or not, is if it can outpace the layer one. And so I did that, and within this week I was just, I came in and started the pool, and got it going, and here you can see prices are around between $1 and $10, and there wasn't a lot of trading activity back then. There was only like $180, $250, $320, $500. So it didn't take a lot of money to get it off the ground in the early days. Now, there's not a lot of coins out there. There's only 1 million total supply. So, theoretically, it can act more like a store of value so long as there's more demand than there is supply on the market, and there's diehard people holding it that are getting in and thinking like this is a longer term play. So, as time went on, it just little players would come in, interact with the chart, or I remember when this happened. So the whole reason why I created Axis was to educate my members on, why does price action happen the way it does, and what's going on the liquidity side of things or from the chain analysis when a certain move happens. So this right here, this $105 sell, that was when Pulse. So that was on July 31st. That's when Pulse SEC FUD came in. And so what this amounted to, if I go to, let me go to a smaller time frame so we can really zoom in here and get an idea. That was a pretty big red candle back then, dude. That was, go to regular. Here we were trading at around $10, and then all of a sudden, bam, got smoked, minus 41% in no time. And I was just like, what just happened? There isn't even that many people holding. Who just nuked my price chart? And then I went and looked at Pulse on July 31st, and little behold, look at SEC FUD, bam, smackdown. Pulse falls 67%. So Axis held up better during this period, even though it was tied to Pulse. In dollar terms, it held up better than Pulse did during the sell-off. So this is how I like to explain it. This candle was printed because the only reason why Axis has a dollar value is because it's measuring its dollar value from Pulse, because it's not tied to stable coins. So if Pulse goes up in value, Axis goes up in value. If Pulse goes down in value, it pulls the dollar value of Axis down with it, and that's exactly what happened here. And so, this is a perfect way that I can use this chart to explain and teach people that relationship of where an asset gets value from. Why does it have a dollar value? Where does that dollar value come from? Well, it comes from what you're measuring it against, right? And this brings up the question of why does anything have any value in cryptocurrency? Well, because in the early days, people bought Bitcoin because they believed in the vision of it. They thought, we need to get away from the central banks, and one way to do free money for the people is to do money on the blockchain, Bitcoin. That makes sense. It made sense to some people and nerds in the early days, and now the price went up to $69,000 to these days. And so first it starts as a belief. Humans believe in something, and then they start putting energy into it, or in this case, liquid money, dollars, yen, euros, wands, pesos. They start putting that money in because it's a way for you to earn through printing your own money legally through Bitcoin mining, or through price appreciation of the asset from FOMO and from emotions and watching the price chart go up. And that's what gives something value, is that humans are interacting with it. So then what you get, fast forward 15 years and you have Ethereum comes along, And then Pulsechain is a fork of Ethereum. So where does Pulsechain get its value from? Well, it gets its value from Ethereum, effectively. Ethereum was successful. It went up to thousands of dollars a coin. So we bridged our money in from Ethereum and we just connected the chain. And now we're like, okay, we can have, Pulse can have its own value. And so then now you have like the dollar goes into Bitcoin, goes into ETH, goes into PLS. I'm gonna butcher this one. Yeah.
There you go.
And so you got, it's kind of like fractional reserving value, right? Because you keep going one step further away from the currency. So at the end of the chain, here's access token, right? And because it's such a small coin with such small supply and such hardcore believers in it that are willing to invest their energy into it, and they believe in the long-term vision and being educated through blockchain technology. That's the whole point of this thing. And it's tempting to be a preservation of wealth, obviously, because of the price appreciation. You're just creating value out of thin air. Here's another one. When ETH forked, let's go back to this point. ETH forks, and on Ethereum, there's fake Bitcoin called wrapped Bitcoin, and then there's Pulse chain comes online, and then there's a forked version of so Pulse wrapped BTC. And so it's like, well, what the fuck? So you're telling me there's a Bitcoin which is already fake money, and that on top of Ethereum they built a forked version, or they built a collateralized version of Bitcoin where it gets locked up on this chain, and then it gets issued on this chain. And then somebody copied that, and now there's a fake copy of that, already fake Bitcoin on another chain. So how does that have? Yeah. So how does that have any value? Well, it has value because Richard Hart is a freaking G, and he proved that as long as wrapped Bitcoin can have any dollar price, here's a really crazy chart for you. So long as it can have any dollar price, and right now it's sitting at $90 a piece, you can convert this $90 per unit coin into real Bitcoin and get value back. And now there's that level of it, and then there's the utility aspect and the price appreciation. Well, if you bought it down here and you sold it up here, you made 10x, right? So value is inherent in all things as long as a human's willing to tap into it. And so I kind of followed that train of thought. I really like good tokenomics, fixed supply, really rare market cap, or really rare market supply, and hardcore diamond-handed believers. And that's how you kind of get this chart, right? When you really zoom out, it's a function of all the things I just said, right? And so it's performed tremendously. And if you look at the chain analysis, it looks like there's other very, very big players in the Pulse chain and HEX ecosystem that believe in it too. And they're starting to put their money where their mouth is. So I can't predict for you guys live on stream like where I think this can go long term, but I can show you what it did, and I could show you how it got there, because that's part of it, is the education process. I could break it down and show you, like, what is an ascending triangle, a textbook ascending triangle. This chart did it. It's when you got a flat top, roughly estimated, and then you got a trend line that goes up like this, and then you get taps of both of these areas of confluence. So like price broke down, got a bounce here, so you could start a trend line from here to here to here. That's 3 touch points. You build up that trend line, and then this projects out into the future. With any luck, look, what happened was the price hit that level, came up here, got rejected, broke down, didn't quite get there, turned around, got rejected, made a higher low again, got up here, got rejected, basically made a double bottom here and bounced up, didn't quite get up there this time, got to the end of the pattern, and then that's when big money stepped in and created a price move. And so this is typical of these types of structures and charts, and it's perfect that, you know, this is like a textbook ascending triangle with perfect breakout. And so the way you measure like where the price chart can go from here is you take the base of the triangle down here to the top of the of where you're going to measure from, and so we'll do there. And I'll get rid of the extension. Okay, so now you can see I got this yellow line here. And then if you just put that out, it'll tell you where the price is going to go. So the price chart did get to that level. And this is usually where you'll start to see, at least this was the target that was meant to be hit. Well, that target got hit. And this is the 4 hour. We could zoom in a little further and just see like, okay, well, what happened here? On the 15-minute, it looks like the price got up here to the target area. And it got pushed down, and it got almost there, and it got pushed down. And there's a small little consolidation in this triangle. It's like a pennant. And then this is a chart pattern inside of a move. So inside of this, on the 15-minute, you get this tiny little triangle consolidation right before this bigger move higher. And so, you know, I'm pushing my limits here, but it broke out, and then normally you'd come back down and see a retest of this level, and then potentially either break up or break down, retest, and resumption down. And those are the two options you have, because it's all about support and resistance and charting. And so, okay, so again, why did I make Access Live the token? I made it so that I could explain charting for people and help give them perspective on that on one account, right? But also, you know, it's proving to be valuable in other ways for people as well.
Yeah, dude, I love it, bro. And like, yeah, crypto's never easy. You know, when you get a coin that does that well and it's pumping like crazy, you think, all right, well, it's got to come back down. That a pump like that's unsustainable. So when do I get back in? And then when you're buying a dip, you know, you're never sure, is this the final dip? Is it going to roll back over one more time? Is this the time to get in? And then it takes off and you miss it. So crypto's never easy.
Let's talk about that. So like when was the right time to buy this chart? Well, excluding this move here where it just kind of kept going up and there wasn't a lot of activity. I think there was only like 100 wallets in here on this rise from $0 to $300. There wasn't really that many people. There might have been like 40 or 50 addresses holding. And then, so they were all just kind of competing for better prices, but they were just fighting and people would just buy up the supply that was on the market. And then, we got to this moment here, and that's when you started to see this increase in users because it really started to move. You could see that it was like these candles are greatly outsized compared to these little candles down here. And that's always a good sign to see that. And so then what you got here was on the 12 hour was a three white soldiers candlestick pattern. And this is usually like you get three greens in a row about equal height from each other at a price breakout level. And this is the breakout level here. And then after that, there's usually a continuation. Well, what happened was price got up to $600, and then in the next 12-hour candle, a HEX dolphin came in and pumped the price from $600 all the way up to like $1,500 in one candle. And this completely blew me away because it was like this move here it's decent size. Like it shrunk down the whole chart. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? And then so I was like, okay, that's got to be it. We're probably going to sell off and come back down to like $400 or $500 maybe. I don't know. I wasn't sure because that was a big move. And then and then the most incredible thing happened. A HEX shark steps in and pumps the price all the way to $10,400. And I'm just like, what is this madness? And at that point, I was like, I don't even know, like, did I just break something? And so then we got this like huge sell-off, right? And this is where there was some serious profit taking. Those guys that got in at $100 down here.
Yeah, they were running for the exits.
Like on this guy sold, I think, a half a coin. So that means that he made like $5,000. Yeah. And then this guy here in and three button presses, one after the other, sold for $7,000 gain. Insane on this one candle.
Yeah, I'll be like, dude, why did you have to do? Why couldn't you just sell two and let us get some?
But it was a good test of like, well, what did it? So like to break it down even further, I'd be here all night, but like there was about 500 million PLS that came into that pump, and two guys walked away with 250 million of that. And if you ever come in and you take my courses or you learn about LP or join the members, like I can explain this in further detail about how much pulse it took to get it there, why did it get there, how much sell-off had to occur to make this happen, why did this red candle print so big when only 1.5 coins was sold, what is slippage, and like I could name drop all the terminologies, but I'll spare you guys tonight. The takeaway here is that there's a lot bigger things going on with this token than meets the eye. Yes, it's just a plain old PRC20 with a fixed cap supply, but yeah, just definitely keep an eye on it because it's going to be a lot of exciting things coming down the road.
That's awesome, bro. I'm definitely gonna be looking for a little bit of a dip and definitely throw $100 in.
Forgot to bring that up. So there's a tool that you can use to try to find where's the dip, where the heck's the dip. And what you do is you take this little thing called the Fibonacci retracement tool. You know this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you just pull it up from the base of the first floor. So if you zoom down here, you can see like this was the last floor before the big move happened. And so we'll make our first connector point there, and then we'll extend it all the way up to the top of that move when it completed. And then let me zoom, extend lines right, so we can watch where the price action went. So inside of here, this was the zone to buy. So typically on price charts, when things come down, when you're looking for deep value discount zone, you're looking for down here between the 618 harmonic ratio and the 786. Like if you can buy inside of this zone at any point in the history of a coin that's going to be worth a damn, this is the zone to buy. And the way you get this measurement of these two areas is from a local low, local meaning like before the move started, to the local high, meaning after the move finished. And so this was the zone to buy. Now, of course, Axis gave an even better zone. It actually broke all the way down into the lower quadrant down here. And there's a hidden number in here that we can add. It's the 886. And if you go 0.886, this is like the ultimate value zone, I guess you could say. Like if you could, on a chart that's going to ever be worth a damn, if you can get it in here, this is like the best zone to buy. And as you can see, Axis consolidated in that zone for, I think it was like 20 days, 16 days, and built out that price structure for that ascending triangle before, which was a textbook chart pattern before breaking out on September 29th. So when I'm looking for a pullback, I'm looking under the 618. If stuff's super bullish, if you get a pullback to the 50% level here, you could start to take nibbles. But you don't really ever want to be buying in here, typically. If you are buying in here, you're taking a higher risk. So what you'd be better off doing on this coin, this is complete speculation, not financial advice. What it could, like just saying, like if it, hypothetically, where would be a good time to buy this coin? Well, let's just say it breaks the all-time high and goes to $20,000, just hypothetically. Well, then we'd have to go from the local low of that to 20,000 and find out, well, where would be the zone to buy? Well, the zone to buy would be between the 618 and the 786. So you'd want to be buying between a price of 5,200 and 8,500 on a pullback. That's a huge window. And I think this is one of the value propositions of Axis, is like it gives people huge 60% windows for potential buy ranges. So that inside of here, you could find yourself getting anywhere from like 59% off to 74% off if it hit this range, right?
I like it.
You know, and there's other elements to this, right? Maybe you like F it. It's close enough to the 618. I'm just gonna add a little here and just hope for the best. But yeah, that you never know with where this stuff can go. It's cryptocurrency after all. It could go to zero tomorrow, by the way.
Yeah,
I'll end with that.
yeah. Could you pull up PRS Pulse Reflections? A couple people are asking about that in the chat.
It's right here, baby. And I've been watching it for a while. It's kind of a funny one because when you look at the chain, well, first let's do the TA. Head or shoulders, head, shoulders. There's a head and shoulders reversal pattern. This should have went down here to test this base. Somewhere in here. So let's do our fib analysis like we just did. We'll do it all over again. From the base to the top. Here's your local low at the bottom of that pattern to the local high at the local high there. So where am I buying here? Well, let me make sure I got the right. So I'm on a logarithmic chart. There's a difference between a log chart and a regular. Regular, this scale just moves linearly. Logarithmically, it moves a little differently. You can see that the price changes a little bit in the shape. So if you want to know more about that, read about logarithmic versus linear. But when you're on the log chart, you got to make sure that this fib thing says fib levels based on log scale. If you scroll, if you double click and look into settings, you got to scroll all the way down here to make sure it's based in log scale. And then if you look down here on the right, make sure your scale is in log. All right, once you got that figured out, look, where's my deep value discount zone here? 618 in green. 786. This is the range I want to buy. But why isn't it breaking down? We had a head and shoulders. This thing should have like came here, retested, and got nuked down to here to find support where it was previously support. Well, for some reason it hasn't gotten there yet. And now it's starting to show, it started to show signs of strength. So these big white lines here, these are wicks on these candles. That always means that there's a lot of buy pressure stepping in. So it's acting like a trampoline, pushing the price chart up. Like as guys come in and they buy the supply and they pushed it right back up, and then the candle bodies are a lot higher. And so there's been a lot of protection of this trend line here. And it's just a matter of, are the sellers, do they have enough power to push it below and reject it down and get it moving lower? Or are the sellers running out of power? Are they running out of ammunition? So to find that out, we have to go down here to the bottom, and we can look at the chain. We can click on like wrap pulse. We could filter out, let's see, we only want to see the big buy orders. We want to see anybody that's sold 10 million pulse or more. Now it's only going to bring up all the big buyers and sellers. You get the timestamps on the left. You get the account on the right. So I see this guy on October 4th at 6 p.m., 6:18, buy. 6:29, sell for $500. 6:46, 15 minutes later, sell for $500. October 4th at 6:48, a few minutes later, sell for $600. Sell for $586. And then this big whale steps in and buys 18 million. And it's just a matter of, are these buyers that are buying intermittently inside of here, do they have more ammunition than these sellers? You have to go in one by one, click on a seller, see, okay, how much pulse reflections does this guy have left? Let's see. If you click tokens, and then I like to use Control F to just PRS, yep. And then it'll just highlight it for you. This guy's got 1 billion PRS left, and we just found him selling the chart. So how much is 1 billion PRS? 1,000,000,000,000,000.
Like $2,000.
Yep, $2,400. So check it out. This guy's got $2,400 of sell pressure left. These little $500 sells, they've been pushing the price chart down percent-wise. Let's see. Looks like anywhere from 10 to 15%, let's say. And if he's got 4 more of those, because 4 or 5, because $500 goes into $2,400 5 times, roughly. And that means he could push the chart down 10 to 15%. 5 times. That would get you all the way down to here. So that guy really has to come in and unload heavy. But if he just auto sells all of it in one go, what's stopping one of these buyers from just coming in and wicking it right back up? And that's what we've seen over and over and over. So there is someone protecting price. So we got to find out who's buying.
Well, I wonder if it's like what Atropa is doing when you have PRS and it's got the huge liquidity pairs I don't know how deep they are with like a Tropa and P die and these other coins. And I wonder if anything gets out of whack, the bots just come in and just buy up the difference, and it kind of keeps everything going up if P die is going up.
The bots probably help like keep it like kind of chugging along like this, but they're not going to come in and give it power or momentum. Like we're really looking at users for that kind of action.
Yeah.
So then I would.
That's good, dude. I mean, people.
Yeah, it means that there's actual people coming in. There's actual demand. Yep.
Yeah, because I know Zach over there. He's kind of like the face of it now. I had him on stream a couple weeks ago, and he's got he's got plans for it. And yeah,
It's cool that the reflections tokens actually work on. They actually work well on Pulsechain. People are making money on the actual rewards function of it.
True, I'm loving it, bro. I'm getting back enough to mint like 3 or 4 ZenFTs every day for free on Pulsechain just for my rewards. So it's like, even if they come back and then they 5x the ZenFTs, it's like, there you go. Now you just 5x your bag of Pulsechain for free that you got as a reward.
Yeah. So I hope that kind of helps explain that one. What was the other one you wanted to see? PRS and
that was I just saw that somebody had wanted to see that, the PRS. But yeah, what do you think about A1A?
Oh, dude,
that's another one I've been talking about on stream.
It's heading to $1. Like that's an obvious sign to me. So like I just took this previous like floor price and how it grinds up slowly. This is bots. This action here is no sellers stepping up and bots just like arbing the price up and up and up. And then this action here I felt was similar. Bots, people stop selling, then bots kind of start arbing it up and up and up. Maybe a guy comes in and buys there, and then it, Atropa and PDI had a bad week, and so they kind of like falters. But now we're in the move now. So the move started, and it's up 118%, 105% off the lows. And if you take this fractal from before, now these things never quite have the same magnitude the second time. But even if you make half the fractal and you get to like $1 to $2, that's gonna be 600-700% from here. Mm-hmm. Now keep in mind there's only 25K in the pool, so if you're putting in like 1 million pulse and it does like an 8x, you can pull out 8 million pulse and it's gonna be fine. There'll still be, there's still gonna be 500 million pulse in there. But if you put in 100 million pulse, you're gonna shoot the price up first of all, like 100 or 200%. And when it gets up to then when it gets up to here at your $2 level, you're going to make only 60% on that. And when you go to sell, if someone else hasn't already sold it down from your pump, it's just tough on these low liquidity pairs to really come in with size. And I think that's been another goal with some of these bigger coins with higher price ranges is like they're trying to get lots of liquidity to make it a whales game so that more money can be made on smaller moves, like a Bitcoin. But these little coins, like you could throw in 1 million pulse and turn it into 10 million pulse like in a couple of days, and that's a 10x. Like, so if you do that a few times over, obviously you could make good money doing that. You could turn 1 million pulse into 100 million, and I think that's been kind of the draw. Like if you're sitting on 100 million pulse, what's a million pulse? 1% of your stack on something like this to maybe turn it into 5 or 10 million. Increase your stack by 5% or 10%. To me, it seems like a logical thing for people if you want to try to take those trades. Of course, I'm always like an evangelist of hex staking for like no stress, but we're not just talking to those guys here. We're talking to everybody that, there's lots of different opportunities in crypto. And so just, be open to it. A1A is in the first stages of its move. I think this can, so long as this trend holds the support, this is the same exact angle of this line here. So long as that holds, this thing can go higher.
Yeah, it's pretty much like elephant money on Binance. I look at this coin. Very similar.
That's what's the tokenomics of that one?
Elephant money.
Tax token, right?
Yeah, 12%. It just dumped hard today. It's just elephant. Yep. There you go. Yep.
39 million of value in there. Damn.
Oh, and
Looks
I
like a
got in.
honeypot.
Yeah, bro. But if you go back and look in like
Oh
April,
boy.
it's the same thing, and it just liquidates a bunch, and then it gets bought right back up. And this, yeah,
This was a
I
free
don't.
trade. This was a free trade somewhere in here where you could have
Yep.
just put some in and made a couple
Yep.
100%.
Yeah, I got in at like 4,000, and I was gonna sell the other day, and I didn't, and it dropped down. But I'm still up from where I got in, so I'm just gonna hold it and see what it does for a little bit.
So this is awesome. They have a huge liquidity pool. You could dive in a little deeper and say, what's the liquidity look like? What's the holders look like? You can zoom out here and looks like there's 23,000 holders, so it's reasonably small still. It's not too over saturated, so to speak, especially for not that kind of liquidity. You could dive into the holder count. You could see 50% of all of it holds it. 50% of all the supply is held by one account. And I don't know what the circumstances are, but that usually is bullish. And obviously, if you look at the freaking chart, it's the reason why this can go up and there's not a lot of sell pressure is because half of it's in one wallet, and that guy's probably not dumping. And you can even take that a step further and copy that address and then come down here to your makers and paste it in. And this address is not even ever bought off the chart.
It's the address that collects tax.
Gotcha.
I would imagine. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Yep.
That makes sense.
And then
you could pick the number 2 guy and let's see what's his situation. This could be another address meant for something tokenomics wise too, because that's not on here either.
Yeah, I think it's something to do with burning the supply after. I don't know exactly.
Here's just a random one. Bought the bottom, $19,000, $14,000, $13,000, $8,000, and then he bought the top, $14,000, and got dumped on. What a
yeah.
Now
I think he's doing all right though.
Well, and what you can't know from this particular setup is, did this guy send this token to another address to sell
and then dump it? Yep.
So he could have bought here.
They don't show it. Yeah, I don't like that.
And which account was it? I clicked a random account. You could find his account. Let's see, BD1B15.
There it is, 21.
21?
Yeah.
Click on him, and then you could go into his transfers of this coin. That's what we're in. And it looks like he sent some out. This is something else. I don't think this is the same. It says borrow. Is there a borrow thing in there?
Yeah. I don't know exactly how it works, but it's similar. Let me look.
Well, I mean, it is filtering it by elephant, so there must be some borrow and repay structure in there too, which is interesting. But he never did send any out before the sell-off, so this guy is not an insider. You could figure that out from reading the chain. All right, so let's move the PDI quick, and then
let's check out some PDI. Yeah.
So this one looks pretty good. I like the RSI. RSI stands for Relative Strength Index. I got this red dotted line going across the top. This is just a line of resistance, and when this bottom got put in here at the bottom of this falling wedge chart pattern, which is a bullish chart pattern, these usually bounce, squeeze, and then pop out the top. It bottomed on the RSI. So this is measuring the strength of the momentum of the trend. So it bottomed and connected here and bounced. It connected here. It broke through, but it got back above quickly and bounced. And then look at where you found resistance. You found resistance right at which was previous resistance on 2 occasions. So if you break this stuff down, you can see the patterns everywhere. So like it's getting rejected right now here, which was previous resistance here and here, and to some varying degree, and all the way back here. This is still the same level. But so that short term, you could expect PDI to bounce around in here, break out and go. So bounce down to here, break out and go, something like that. Now that's if we don't have some massive holder come in and just nuke it, right? There's always that possibility. But yeah, PDI is not looking too bad right now. And I also noticed that like PLS and Co is like it's at least holding the 21 daily bull market support band as support. And so the fact that it's getting bounces off the 21 daily, that's usually a good sign. If Pulse does well, everything should technically do well. And so the fact that PDI is also doing well and the name of that is also good. There's no external pressure pushing this down. It's just probably a small profit taking at previous resistance. And you could dive into the chain and like look into wallets in the same way that I've kind of showed procedurally before. So yeah, man, I hope that helps. This is looking bullish to me. Maybe just a small consolidation before I move up higher. Atropo is going to do the same exact pattern because it's
the charts are identical.
because they're so tied together by liquidity. And then Teddy Bear actually has overperformed quite a bit. And I'm kind of targeting like 600 to 700% move off this level, off the base. So
I love Teddy. Teddy's my biggest holding now out of all the three. I switched it from PDI over to Teddy. Just I don't know, something about the meme coin. It's just got so much going for it.
Yeah.
B-Roots and those guys shilling it like crazy. It's all over Twitter. Like I really am bullish on Teddy.
Breakup predictions for these. We're not there yet, but let's just run a fractal because that's fun, right? If Teddy Bear repeats history, I think let's see. Let me just clean this up.
The meme king Moon B thinks it's gonna repeat and it's gonna shoot up to like 35, 80 million.
So if you go from that local low to that local high back to the second low here, it hit the 1618 target here. So from the base to that local peak to that local low, it's projecting out that it hit the 1618 before. It could do it again, is what I like to say, is it could do it again. And then a lot of times, to be conservative, you might say, Michael, half the distance. So then what do we do from there? Let's do it from here. This is a little bit of a different like price action, but let's just do this once. 1618 is up here, so it's pretty far away, guys. I don't know if I'm seeing that happening necessarily.
That's literally like I was looking at a tweet from Moonbee that's literally where he drew this 85% and then shooting up hard again. Yeah.
Yeah, 43,000%. So for this kind of a move to play out like this, you're looking at, you have to dive into the addresses. There's only 4,600 holders, so you click on that. And you want to see how much of this is distributed. Like if the top 100 holders have a decent amount of the supply and they're still buying
the biggest holder of Teddy Bear is not selling any. He's already came and made it public, the developer.
Yeah, and we could see if he's market bought, and if you click this, put that in there. So okay, so this chain, the chain analysis here is saying that this is the biggest holder. Now there could be another wallet LPing that I can't see, but so this guy here has sold a shitload. Now how much in dollar terms is that? This is only like 100.
Yeah, because he said he took profits originally to pay some stuff off with his family. Said he's not selling anymore.
Gotcha.
And so when was last sell? September 20. Okay, so yeah, it's been
23rd, 22nd.
Yeah, I guess it's only
looks like he took 24,000. He took like 25,000 bucks off here. Top holder. What would be a sign of good faith is if he came back in and started buying here to push it back up. But you know, whatever. It's everyone's. It's not your keys, not your cheese, right? So you're gonna want some other whale to step up and move it. You know, a lot of times this kind of action can be seen as positive, but you have to believe in the founder and think that they're not going to do it again, or like honestly, this selling here didn't really stop the move, right? Neither did this really. It was just a short-term sideways action. So yeah, I mean, he hasn't really done anything too bad to like affect the chart. His selling has been like responsible. So like didn't really stop the chart from making a new high. So people still made money after he sold, which is a good sign. It's a good sign. It means that he's not totally predatory. That's just one. So anyways, I hope that some of this has been helpful for understanding the process.
Yeah, bro.
I
I'm
guess
sure it has.
if you guys want more, just go check out accesslive.com. I'm happy to hang out, do a call, or join up in the boardroom Telegram group, and get that hot alpha off the press every day, all day, baby.
It's so like it really is worth the money, because if you make one mistake, you start hesitating over stuff, you miss out on something because you're unsure. Like once you have that confidence in crypto, it changes everything. Like once you're over like the, oh, should I buy now, should I sell now, once you can just make a plan and you can become a savage and just buy no matter what, sell no matter what, nothing affects you emotionally, that's when it makes it so much easier for you. I feel like for new people, it's overwhelming, and they feel like they have to constantly be making moves and chasing everything. And it's like, no, less is more. You want to make this as easy as possible. Like, unless you're a trader, that's your thing. Not for me, but I recommend people just getting into the stuff that you can stake it. It's got good utility, good partnerships, and chances are it's going to be around in the future. And then obviously you have your DGen stuff, but meeting with people that have been around, that know what they're doing, and can help lead you in the right direction, prevent you from making mistakes. Like, that's the stuff that's going to keep you ahead
In
of
the
the curve.
game, the worst thing that can happen is you lose your half your stack or your whole stack, just trying to get ahead, right? You don't want to be in that position. So, at least talk to somebody that, has been around the game a little bit longer before you go taking risks.
And don't be embarrassed and think, oh, I don't want to meet with them and tell them what I did. Like, this was so stupid. Like the shit that I did back in the past, the stuff that I've gotten wrecked on, the dumb shit I've done. We've all done it. We've all been there. And there's nothing that you've done that's like so embarrassing or so bad. Like, you don't want to talk about it. I've seen that a couple times. It's like, bro, that's not even that big of a deal. That's so common back then for you to make that mistake. So
Yeah,
don't
I
feel
think we've all
embarrassed.
done it. We've all, one of my dumbest plays. I'll tell you, it's fun. It's fun to tell these stories now, right? I look back on, so I bought remember the Helium Network token from last cycle?
Yeah, yep.
And they did the long, like what they call it, long fi mining, where you get the little
Yeah, you can
device
mine
and
it. Yeah, yep.
you plug it in the wall, and it wasn't like a Bitcoin miner. It was like a nice little home unit. And anyways, I just plugged it into the wall, and like in the beginning, the inflation was insane. So like I made like 5,000 or 6,000 of those things in the first month, and they opened up the price chart on it on Binance US, and it ran up to like $2.89, and I was sitting on like 4 or 5 G's, and I was just like, oh yeah, I'm so smart. I bought a $500 unit in 5x. So I'm gonna dump it. I dumped most of the stack right there, and I was still mining. I'm like, oh, I'll mine it again. Well, then the developers came in and changed the inflation rate. So then all of a sudden, I wasn't making what I thought I was making before in inflation, and the price dipped. I sold the top, and then the price dipped all the way down to 69 cents or whatever, 65, and I didn't even buy back with some of the profits, and that was a mistake by me, because then the cycle goes on, the price chart ended up going to $50 plus. And so I missed out on 6 figures because I thought 5,000 was I was a champ. So we all do it, man. We all make mistakes, but you live and you learn. And crypto is so loaded with opportunity that even though you screw up one time, there's always another opportunity around the corner.
Yeah, bro. Like this has been the worst bear market I think we've seen by far. And for people that are just like hodling their coins, not doing much, they're getting destroyed. And the degens out here that are messing around in PDI and Atropa and Teddy and Pulse Reflections and A1, like these coins are going ballistic. So like I almost feel bad for people that haven't doubled and tripled their sacrifice bags, that just held it waiting because for Pulsechain to do that 10,000x and yada yada yada. And it just blows my mind that that was the narrative around launch, pre-launch, not everyone I talked to missed out on Pulsechain and went balls deep on PulseX so they could sell it and get into Pulsechain. It's like I told people that and they didn't want to hear it. It was like, oh, you're fudding. Oh, you're fudding. It's like, no, this is what is going on in my circle. So I can't imagine it's any different around with everybody else. And sure enough, we went up a little bit and we dumped to catastrophic lows.
Hey, man, we'll still be here. Me and you were locked in for a while. We'll be in crypto for probably longer than we'll want to admit.
Bro, I'll have Alzheimer's, forgetting all my stuff, forgetting coins and everything by the time I'm done.
You won't be able to remember every Zen Mint wallet you got.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, hey, guys, I'm working on just kind of throw something out there. I haven't really said anything publicly yet, but it'd be cool if I get some feedback from anybody that might be interested in merch. I got this hat. I've been wearing the hat for a while, and I got the sweatshirt on, but we're testing out like different things like golf balls and apparel and whatever else. So now that we got a price chart, maybe we can start selling some merch or something. So,
dude, that's awesome. Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely get one. I know if I put that hat on, and my TA skills will increase by at least 5 to
10%. TA skills guaranteed to increase by 35% immediately after putting on the cap.
There you go, bro. I'm in.
Put some of my brain cells in the hat.
There you go. Oh, that's great. All right, bro. I appreciate you coming on. I'm sure every one of you guys in the chat here knows Axis, seen him around, follow him already. But if you're not for some crazy reason, definitely give him a follow and like this video if you got any alpha, any information. And if not, unsubscribe and get out of here forever. Don't come back.
Thanks, guys. Peace.
All right, guys. Have a good night.